Hey guys, this is Bye Money and welcome to my channel. And in this video, we will learn how to day trade scalping the E-mini using pure price action. And the price action setup we like to look for is the two-legged pullback. If you don't know what the two-legged pullback is, simply is a price action setup that looks like this. We call this the first pullback, first entry, second pullback, and second entry. And we like to enter into the second entry right here. We also can identify like this, A, B, C, and on the next A leg, we would like to enter right here. And we like to find this setup in key areas such as moving averages, support resistance levels, trend lines, channels, and so forth. For instance, if I grab this two-legged pullback and I place it right here, we can see that we have a two-legged pullback off the 20 EMA right here, and it was good for a scalp. And we like to scalp with this setup on the E-mini. And so we see we have enough for a scalp right here. Also, there's another two-legged pullback right here. You can see, expand it a little bit. But we have one pullback, first entry, second pullback, and then finally second entry, giving you not just a scalp, but here a full swing, which you could take advantage of if you have a runner. And so we like to find this setup in those key areas. Why is this setup such a high probable setup? Well, it's because it reflects market psychology. Whenever the market makes two attempts at something, it's always more confident the second time. And so the first entry we like to skip, and then the second entry we like to enter in, where the institutions and traders will feel more and more confident to enter. And so we like to find this setup in those key areas. If you'd like to know more information about this setup, you can check out the links below in the description, and they'll tell you more information on how to count legs and identify second entries. Also, if you see the chart here, there are a bunch of numbers above and below the chart or the candles. This is a indicator that I use that automatically counts legs and identifies second entries. And the second entries are identified by dark red or dark green numbers, and these are identified after there are two or more pullbacks. And so this indicator marks every single second entry there is on the chart. So you can see all the dark red and all the dark green numbers, and you can see when there's dark green numbers near key entry points or dark red numbers near key entry points, like over here off the 20 MA. You can see that these typically are good for a scalp. And so the indicator automatically identifies all of these setups for you, and so yeah, it makes counting legs and identifying second entries much easier. It also identifies traps. And so if you want more information about the indicator, two-legged pullback indicator, you can go to the official website www.twoleggedpullback.com. Alright, that's it for the introduction. And so you came here to learn how to day trade, and so we're going to go over the chart today, and we will be scalping the E-mini. And so a scalp essentially is one or more points essentially, and so we are trying to make 1 point off the second entry, and the 1 point for the setups that we're looking for is 5 ticks. 1 tick for the stop entry and 1 tick and 4 ticks for the point. For instance, in this trade, we have a two-legged pullback. We have the first pullback, first entry, and then second pullback right here. And we'll put it right here. And we like to enter into the second entry. And what we will do is we would put a stop order 1 tick above the previous candle's high, which is right here, what we see here, and then we will put a profit target 1 point above the stop entry, so altogether 5 ticks. And so we're trying to scalp this setup, and every scalp that we make will be approximately, it depends on how many contracts you trade, but typically I trade 5 contracts, so every scalp that will be made will be $250. So you technically only need 2 scalps every day just to make $500 a day. And so we'll go to the chart, and that's the way we will scalp. And so we'll go to the beginning here, and so this green line is the market regular trading hours open 9:30, or really 9:29, but the next bar will be 9:30. And this dotted red, or this dashed red line, is yesterday's close. Also have the 20 EMA and the 240 SMA. Though we will be using pure price action, there are some indicators that do help us in terms of trading price action. So these are just guides for us. We don't really trade necessarily. Well, it depends. Some people like to do crossovers, things like that, but we like to just use it as a just a guide for us when we look for price action. And so we'll go ahead and go through the chart, and in this chart review we'll be going bar by bar. I did a poll recently, and second place, most people enjoy the live trades, but in second place are the bar by bar analysis. So actually I'm going to go through this chart bar by bar, and when going through it, I'm going to be analyzing it as if it was live, and I typically go kind of fast until I hit a second entry, and you will be able to see the second entry in the margins here, because we'll see a dark red or dark green number, and I'll stop in those whenever we see one. So we're at the market open. First things first, we'll go ahead and just chart real quickly where we are right now. And so we have this downtrend, and typically what I'll be waiting for is, if I were to go long here, I will wait for a break of this downtrend, and then a retest at the bottom, and then we'll look for a higher low. So this just first things first is what I'm thinking about, but we'll go ahead and see if that setup comes. I don't know. Otherwise, we are just in a downtrend. We currently are breaking out of this trend line right now already, but that's not enough. I'm not convinced yet that we are in a uptrend yet. So this breakouts typically fail, and so we're kind of expecting this to fail, but we'll continue to go ahead. And here we see our first second entry after the open. Would this be a good trade to go into? I like to mark bad trades with a triangle and good trades with a circle. So would this be a good trade? You do have a very good signal bar, and it is a higher low, and you potentially have a double bottom. The only problem is that we have yet to close above the 20 EMA yet. Even though we did break above this trend line, I would like to see a close above the 20 EMA and a retest at the bottom. So though this is a very good signal bar and a higher low, I am hesitant to enter here, also because you have the top of this wick that could possibly act as resistance. And so I will mark this as a triangle just because I don't know yet, and we're trying to enter into 90% or greater trades. This is not a 90% or greater trade. I think it has high probability to give you a point because of how bearish or bullish it is. Also, plus being a second entry short with a higher low. But we are in a downtrend, and this is the first breakout, and we have yet to close above the 20 MA. So I'm thinking there's not enough evidence yet for a reversal. So we'll continue here, and boom, we make a very nice green candle. But it was a high probable trade, but not high enough for me. And so I need more evidence here. So I'm going to see a test of this bottom here of the low, and preferably a higher low. Basically, after a breakout like this, I'm expecting a two-legged pullback back down to retest here. And so let's see if we get that. Obvious target is yesterday's close, and so we have yet to hit it. I'm waiting for a two-legged pullback back down to here, and possibly maybe even a lower high I'll be interested in. So we keep going here, and we do see peaking the next symbol, so I am not far enough in my margins. That is my fault. So obviously I'm not going to go short here because this is a terrible signal bar. So right off the bat, I would excuse this. I would not even consider it because of the terrible signal bar. Even though I do know the next candle will trap, but this candle bar is too bad for me to even consider. Plus, we're very close to the target here, thinking that we're going to at least hit it. It will act as a magnet for us. 240 SMA is also there as well. And so we do see here, and we do get this. Would I be interested in this trade? Oh boy, oh boy. This is not a bad trade. This is one of my favorite setups. It's a second entry long with a higher low. and also it's a failed second entry short. How is it a failed second entry short? Well, first off, how is the second entry long? Simply like this: A, B, C. Even though it goes by under only one tick the previous candle's low, it still counts technically, and this will be the second entry long. This is how it looks like: A, B, C. A, or first pullback, first entry, second pullback, and the second entry we like to enter here. Signal bar is not bad, but we do have this to consider. We do have this to consider as a potential resistance here. So again, I am not convinced yet that we are on a full reversal yet, because we have not come far enough to retest the lows here, and so I will skip this trade as well. Even though it's one of my favorite setups, I will have to skip this trade, unfortunately. We go here and we have failed. We haven't not yet make our point. We have made a perfect scalp, as you can see. So it went exactly 5 ticks, and that could typically act as a trap here. I'm expecting a retest of the lows here, and you can see that this is kind of acting as resistance here. You know, you might be potentially trapped here still, because it's only went up exactly 5 ticks. And so I call this a perfect scalp, because that can potentially be a trap, act as a trap as well. And so we do have a second entry short here, which I will not consider. I'm still kind of confused. I wanted to kind of come back down here. I want a lower high that will be preferable for me with a good signal bar, not a terrible signal bar like this. So I will mark this also as a suspect trade. And this is why I suspect, because it goes down, comes back up, and so we are confused here. The market is confused. We can tell by the dojis here, and so now we have a trap approaching here. Would I be interested in this trap? I'll probably be more kind of interested in this trap, but barely enough room back up to yesterday's close. And so again, I am not yet convinced that we have fully reversed here. I would like a retest of the extremes here, and so I will skip this trap here. But okay, so we have a trap here, goes up 1 tick, and then we have a lower high. Terrible signal bar. I'm actually would be very interested in this lower high here. If I did see all of this happening and then I saw this reversing, I actually would be interested here, because I'm thinking we're going to retest the lows before we truly reverse. So let's go into this trade here. I'm interested. It's a terrible signal bar, but it's not like this. We do have a little bit more credence, I think, personally, to enter here, because we have the lower high set up. Essentially, it's a second lower high, and I just think that at this point I would be interested in going short. And so we do peak below. We still have not made our point yet. Still have not made our point yet. We'll be sweating. We are about 2 ticks away, and let's see here. It has not yet made the point. I would be sweating right now if I saw this, and I would potentially be thinking, should I reverse this trade? Because when it peaks above, this essentially will be a trap. But let's see here. Ends up finally making the point here because of the thinking you're going to retest the bottom here to make a double bottom. I actually had no idea. You know, I did trade today a little bit, but to be honest, I don't memorize those charts. I was very busy today, so the trading I did was very little. I couldn't even have a full hour raw session at the end. So that's kind of why I'm doing the daily trade review. So for myself, I can go over this chart. I had no idea that was going to make a point, but ends up making a point for us, which is good. And yeah, so we got a good point there. Thinking we're going to retest the lows here, and I guess you might be asking, what would it take for me to think that we're going to reverse here? Maybe a double bottom with a higher low. I'll consider. We'll keep going. So we broke below here, basically retesting it, but we'll keep going, and we have officially broken below it. But now what I'm automatically seeing with my eyes is a wedge here. We've got 3 pushes down, 1, 2, 3. And so if I had a higher low here, then I would be interested if it was a second entry higher low. Let's see if we get that set up. So we have the first one. I am not interested here. So this is a wedge, as you can see, and this is why bears are taking profits here. That's why we see some consolidation, because traders are taking some profits here. I'm not interested in this one. I'm interested in the higher low. This is too risky for me. So I am not interested, even though it's a pretty good signal bar. I'm thinking, this could come all the way back here, but we'll see. Okay, boom, it's a strong push up, and so people are trading this wedge. I want a higher low. Let's see if we get that. We get the higher low. I'll be very interested in this trade. So I'm thinking now we're reversing, and this is a double bottom with a wedge, and we have a higher low setup. Signal bar is not the best, but I'm very interested in this trade because of the higher low setup, thinking that we might make a major trend reversal here. And boom, we make our scalp here. We're already scalped out, and so that's a good trade right there. And not only that, as you can see, we are starting to reverse. What I'm thinking is a major trend reversal. And so if you had a runner, most likely you'll be stopped out right here. But if I were to trade this live, that would have been a potential place to do a swing trade, because we're talking about a major trend reversal. So let's see what happens here. If you were to swing this, essentially your target would be this. You want 2x. So your target will be here. Actually, if you were to swing this, you want 2x of your risk. Your risk will be one tick below the signal bar. And so, yeah, once you entered in, then you would have been scalped out, or you would have made your full swing there, 2x your risk. So let's keep going until we see our next setup. And now I'm thinking we're trying to go long. We're trying to go long now, and I'll probably be looking for a two-legged pullback back to the 20 EMA if we get that setup. Whoops, I didn't talk about this one, but doji, not interested. Too risky there. Whoops. Obviously, it's easy to say after you see it, but 1, 2, 3 stacked bars, you have to automatically think trading range. And though the trading range didn't last very long, still it's too risky to trade that, in my opinion. All right, so we keep going until we see our next setup. Okay, so we see a lower high here. I am not interested. In fact, I'm interested in possibly the two-legged pullback that will come after this if it does. Yep, there will be a two-legged pullback. The next entry reversal after this will be a two-legged pullback. I'm not interested in this because I'm thinking long now. I'm thinking major trend reversal. So guess what? It goes down and now reverses back up, and we got a trap here. And so now I'm thinking, let's go long. Again, I have no idea what's going to happen here, but I'm thinking going long here. Boom, we're able to scalp out here as well. And so already from the beginning of the day, we had 1, 2, 3, and this is before even 10 o'clock. So within 30 minutes, you would have made $750 with these scalps. And even if you were to swing this right here, you would be able to swing entire trade here for a couple points here, and you have more than $1,000 at this point if you were to swing this one right here. So you're thinking major trend reversal, and you keep thinking that until your premise is wrong or proven wrong, and so that's why I was looking for the two-legged pullback here instead of the second entry short. We do have another second entry here, and I'll skip this one, thinking we are in an uptrend now. We're always in long until proven otherwise. So now we see a bar like this, we're thinking possibly this could be failed, or at least maybe retest down here one more time, but that's a pretty strong bear bar. But also look at the context. This is a strong bear bar, but still we're within this range here. And this range is also hinted at, or teased at, right here. 3 overlapping bars. You can even argue 4 overlapping bars. And so the market is already confused. It gave us a small hint right here that we are starting to enter a trading range. And though the trading range is super skinny, this is kind of how the trading range looks like. If I were to do this, I would probably extend it down here to make it a little more reasonable. And so we have a failed breakout potential right now, and possibly might be interested in a lower high here if there's enough room. So we'll see here. See, no second entries yet. Second entry here with a higher low, or higher low here. Not interested because we're in a trading range, as you can see. And that is not enough room to the top of this trade. There's barely enough room, so I'm not interested in here, even though there might be a high chance of making the scalp here. It does make the scalp for those who will go long there. But for me, it's a little too risky, just a little too close for comfort. With a retracement, I would consider that, but let me mark this. Okay, so now you're thinking, okay, we probably broke out of this trading range, and we might come back down to retest it one more time. But right now you're thinking uptrend, trading range, continuation of the uptrend here. Okay, so we hit this. I forgot what this line was. Just gonna erase it. I kind of forgot what that line was. Anyways, let's keep going until we see our next second entry. So we have a second entry short off the 204 SMA, but strong bull bars. And if you're looking at this, it's too strong to try to counter trend this. You want to wait here. This is a little too risky, in my opinion. If anything, you can wait possibly for a lower high, but by the time the lower high comes, the second entry reversal will be probably near the top of this trading range or the 20 EMA. If we do wait for instance, if we want a lower high, it's going to look like this. But what does that end up giving you? Almost a perfect two-legged pullback the other way, and that will be near probably the top of this trading range or 20 EMA. So think about why this is confusing. We are now currently trading between the 20 EMA and the 240 SMA. So we're going to see some confusion here. There's going to be longs and shorts here, and most likely there's going to be a trading range up here, but we'll see. Okay, so this does give you a scalp here for the first swing down. Again, skip this one. I have no idea what's happening here. A little too risky for me. And voila, it gives you a scalp again, but comes right back up immediately. It's just good enough for a scalp and comes right back up. So in my mind, this is a dangerous place to trade. And these are good decisions not to go into these. Even though that does give you a scalp, still good decisions because you just do not know. Your premise right now, remember, uptrend. Would have this channel here at this point, and also so we can see a target at the top of the channel. And boom, now we see a two-legged pullback. Well, not two-legged pullback because this one goes higher than this one, but we see a strong move back down to the 20 EMA, and also, if we keep sending this, back to the top of this trading range. Possible place to look. So if you are technical, this is not a two-legged pullback, but if you want to be a little more liberal with your counting, this could be a two-legged pullback, but I'll skip this. I mean, it's not even a second entry technically, but optically you can consider this to be a two-legged pullback. We're skipping that. It is enough for a scalp, but we were not even in that trade. And so coming back down, possibly to retest the bottom of this trading range. And now we have a good bounce here. What we were looking for is a higher low. If that higher low comes, then I will be interested. But this one is so nice, such a nice signal bar. It'd be hard to skip this if I was watching this real time, because I was seeing that we're now retesting the bottom of this trading range. A nice retest, enough room back to the top of the trading range. But to me, higher low is the better trade. So we might not get it. And cool. Good thing we didn't go in that one, because we're going to see here it's going to be trapped. And boom. Are we going to get our higher low setup? We don't have a higher low setup. We have another two-legged pullback. Unfortunately, it's not a higher low, so we are not interested in this. And boom, it does come back up to retest the top of this trading range. So good thing we drew this trading range, because it's being very, there's a lot of evidence that this is a good trading range. A lot of traders are seeing this trading range right now, as you can see. And remember, I drew this basically with these three bars, and then when it started to do this here in reverse, I extended it, and my trading range was essentially known by the time it came up to here. And so yeah, so now we see all this. Don't forget that I did this all before I saw all this, and now we saw reactions to it. So we're reading the market well right now, and we keep going, and now we have our next second entry here. Lower high, but not enough room to the bottom of the trading range, so I'm not interested. Plus terrible signal bar. And that is enough to scalp you out, but barely enough. Here, I might be interested in almost going long, because I feel like we're spending enough time here. 1, 2, 3, 4 hits, basically. Higher low here. I'm interested in this trade. I don't know. This could be somewhat experience as well. This is a bad signal bar. and we kind of barely have enough room to the top of this trading range. But what I'm seeing now is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 touches, bottom of this trading range essentially, and we just had another touch. Plus, we have a higher low here. You see how this low is higher than this low with a two-legged pullback. We essentially made an entire two-legged pullback right here. So I'm actually interested in going long here. And boom, we're able to scalp out right there. And if you have a runner, we will still be in our runner. And we will be in our runner still. So we could have a good runner trade here. And we're back up here. And we keep going until we hit the next. Boy, oh boy, it's not even 10 o'clock. And how many we've hit? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 trades already. We made over $1,000. Plus, if you had a runner here, the reason why I know the runner's still here is because after you scalp out, there's a gap here between this high and then this high here. So typically when you have a runner, you'll move your stop loss one tick above your break even, so you can save on commissions. And even with that, you still would not have been stopped out. I don't know the exact how this candle is exactly formed, but as of I see right now, potentially you could be in a good runner right now. We'll keep going. Next one. Okay, so this is a lower high, but with a good signal bar, but we'll skip this because we're thinking, yeah, we're thinking uptrend now, and we're in between here. 20 EMA. Came back here and we just broke out again. This could be time to reverse here, so I am not interested. Plus terrible signal bar. Well, actually, it's a good, very good signal bar, but in my mind, I'm thinking this is acting as support. So, in my mind, I'm thinking we are going to try to go higher. That's my premise. All the way because we have a major trend reversal, and now we are making higher lows here. So we keep going, and boom, we are able to scalp out there. And so, if you were in there, you could have scalped out. So potentially you could have gone to this trade, but for me, I'm scared that this is going to start acting as support now, the top of this trading range. Plus it was at the 20 EMA, and essentially the setup I was thinking is I was like, okay, well this could potentially be a nice two-legged pullback this way, and so that's what I would have been considering. A little confusing as we're between the 20 EMA and the 240 SMA. Kind of hard to make good decisions right now. So we'll keep going, and now we see this. Another test on the bottom here with a very good signal bar. I wouldn't even be surprised to go long here because we're just hitting the bottom here, and we have enough room to top. But I will skip this one because then harping on higher lows. So if we get a higher low, I'll be interested. Here we go. We have a higher low here, and so I'll be interested in going long. How do I know it's a higher low so quickly? Well, mainly because it's a dark green 2. If it's a dark green 2, then I know it's a higher low. If it was a dark green 1, then it was a lower low. But also it's a two-legged pullback. How is it a two-legged pullback? Notice there are two variations of two-legged pullback. You have the classic variation. It looks like this: one pullback, two pullbacks, and then reversal. You also have this variation: one pullback, two pullbacks, reversal. The difference between these two is that this pivot low breaks below this pivot low. This pivot low stays above this pivot low. This is the higher low two-legged pullback. Here we see the classical one. Two-legged pullback, good enough for a scalp. Actually right here, good enough for a scalp. What we want is the second variation, which comes after it. We start here, and we have a higher low this time, and so we are interested in the higher low here. So the classical ones right here, the variation is right here. So we'll see if we'll make a point here. Boom, we're able to make a point, more than a point. You probably could scalp out or have a runner here. Again, I have no idea this chart was going to be like this, but that is what is happening just because of what price action is telling us, and we have this trading range here, as you can see. Keep going, skipping this one. It's too hard to tell. Possibly it might be better to wait for a lower high, but also you have to consider we keep breaking above this trading range, and sooner or later this breakout probably is not going to fail anymore. It's going to actually make a good point here. So I might be interested even at this point into like a pullback off the 20 EMA and maybe off the top of this trading range. So we'll keep going until we see a second entry. Second entry, lower high, and room to the bottom of this trading range. Oh boy. I just think at this point this is way too low. This is too low to short. If it was a little higher, I'm possibly consider it, but this is too low for me to consider going short. Skipping it. Does give you a point anyways, but wow. So those higher lows and higher highs, or higher lows and lower highs, really working out for you. And that's basically a trading range philosophy. That's how you want to trade. But to me, this is too low. This is like the lower third of the trading range, and so it's kind of hard to consider entering there short. We'll keep going till we see our next. Okay, we have another second entry, and so again, the only way I'll consider it is if I had a second entry higher low, and good thing didn't go into there because it traps you out, and you've been trapped out. So that's why we wait for the higher low. This is another second entry. We'll skip this one because we just do not know yet. We need a higher low setup. And here's a higher low setup that you're thinking that this trading range will, this will be a failed breakout and you come back in. But at this point, would I consider this? Let me make sure this is correct. I've been moving it so much. There you go. I don't want to go too far here. Where are we? We're right here. This is a higher low setup. Shoot. Actually, we were right here. Sorry, that's my bad. Would I have considered this? I would consider this because of the higher low setup, but I also would be thinking perhaps my premise is wrong. Perhaps I had thought we were going to go long, be a bull market now, but I might have miscalculated, and so I'll be hesitant to go in this one because of how choppy we are right here. And so I would skip this one. Even though this is a higher low, I would be scared to enter here because you have the bottom of this trading range now that possibly could act as a resistance, plus we're getting choppy all the way down here, just choppy. So this could poke up and reverse right back down. Who knows? You're thinking if it's choppy now, it'll continue to be choppy, and so really just do not know. So in my opinion, this would be a hard trade to take in my opinion, but very good signal bar, higher low, second entry long. You could consider it, but I would skip it. And it does give you a nice point here. And don't be fooled. Just because this was a very good scalp doesn't mean that you should have gone into it. And so I'm happy with my decision until I'm convinced of what kind of cycle we are in, and plus to trade along with that cycle. So the next one will be a second entry short. Not interested here at all. The signal bar is screaming trading range, two overlapping bars here. You're thinking possible another trading range here developing. Does give you more than a scalp here, which is fine. Not interested in that trade. This is actually a two-legged pullback, as you can see right here. And we can also see, of course, with the indicator, but this was a two-legged pullback off 20 EMA. The bottom of this trading range acting as a resistance as well, but signal bar was terrible, and yeah, I just don't know if we are, what kind of cycle we're in. It's kind of hard to tell, and so because it's so choppy here, it's just a sus trade. Let's just say that. Continue. We're going down now. We'll have to skip this one. I have no idea what's happening right now. Thinking possibly going short now. Skip this trade, terrible signal bar, and boom, it comes up. And so now you're wondering, man, terrible signal bars are coming out with strong scalps. Something is up here. We're most likely in trading range. Something's going on. And let me go backwards here and see. Okay, so we're retesting the bottoms here. I'll make a. So that's the bottom. That's the lows of today. We'll kind of go back to where we are now. And I skipped this trade, but it was able to make you a point. And we're kind of retesting those bottoms here with a strong reversal here. Thinking possibly here, double bottom again. But the only way you could really go in here is possibly the higher low again. But I'll have to be convinced we're reversing here. So I would like to see a little more evidence. Maybe I'll just go until we can make a solid, 2 or 3 scalps, and then I'll just end it there. But we do have a second entry short here, but hard to consider this trade in my opinion. Very good signal bar actually. Actually, I don't know. You know what? I would probably enter here. I would probably like this trade. And gives you a scalp. Whoops, that's the wrong one. Because you're thinking. The reason why I was hesitant is because we're thinking double bottom, and you typically don't want to short into support here. But I'm thinking that we've had a failed breakout of this trend line, and we readjusted. Also, the bottom of this trading range acting as resistance. Good signal bar, enough to scalp out right there. So we're good there. Man, oh man, and as you can see, it's a two-legged pullback, A, B, C. The reason why I'm not drawing them out is because the indicator automatically is just telling us these are second entries, and as you can see, every single one are two-legged pullbacks. Very confident in the indicator's ability to give us correct signal here. And I would not be interested here because we have to consider the double bottom possibility here. And yeah, so we'll skip this trade. Very good signal bar though. Lower high on a possible potential downtrend. That'll be a hard trade to skip, I think. Pretty good signal bar. It's just not enough room from the pivot low and possible double bottom here. I mean, if you're looking at this trade here, we're right at the low here, and we made a strong push up, strong bull bar. Yeah, so we'll skip this trade here. Strong bull bar, bouncing off here. I don't know, that's difficult, but we'll skip that one. Okay, and good thing we skipped it. See here, and almost makes a point, but finally reverses, and we do see a trap here. Two-legged pullback, doji bar, skipping that doji. I hate dojis. And that's enough for a scalp right there. Let's continue till we hit another second entry. We do have to consider this trading range. We're thinking failed breakout, back retest the top of the trading range is what we see here, and people took profits at the top of this trading range, thinking it might reverse. And so I didn't count this one, sorry, but again, you know my thing, I would only go in this lower second entry. Let's see here, traps out. Good thing we didn't go into there. A lower high. Another one here, would not consider this as well. Too risky. We just don't know what's going to happen here. If we want to see, if we do want to trade this trading range, we need evidence. And so the only evidence we really have is a lower high. And boom, keeps going up, and we never get our lower high here. Okay, so sorry, I should have done this, but I will skip this as well because it's not a lower high, even though it's a pretty good hit on the 240 SMA acting as resistance. But what I'm thinking right now, possibly this, I'm thinking two-legged pullback off the 20 EMA. I am looking for this setup now, right here. I'm looking for this setup somewhere. And if we get that, then I would be in it 100%. Let's see if we get that setup. We don't give it. The market is not giving us a two-legged pullback discount. So unfortunately, we couldn't even get to a pullback there, and it's off. We're at yesterday's close, and it blows right through it, and we keep going till we hit. Okay, definitely not interested here. Strong bull trend. So not interested there. Again, I was looking for this setup off the 20 EMA, but it never came because the market was being very stingy with us. So unfortunately, that would have been a beautiful setup if we could get it. But unfortunately, we did not get it. And good thing we skipped this one because it traps us out. But eventually, you would have probably made a point. Depends on how you manage this trade. If you did a Mackian stop, you would have been stopped out right there. But if you did a buy money stop, this would you still have made money. But you know, I in general would not have entered that. Plus, you must start thinking trading range. We got overlapping bars, so we're thinking trading range here. We'll see how long this lasts for. Keep going until we see. Okay, so we have a two-legged pullback. Man, oh man, that's beautiful. It's a little later in the trend, but I would consider this. Signal bar is not that good. Context is amazing. Enough room to the bottom of this trading range. Plus, you'll be able to come back up here. And I'll probably have a 4-point stop here. You're thinking retest top of this trading range. You know, that's just in my mind, like, you know, just one-on-one. You're thinking we're gonna hit the top of this. Oh, boom. Okay, great scalp right there. Plus, you probably have a runner, and breaks through the top of the trading range. So now you're pretty convinced we are in an uptrend, and nice to know that we have a strong market now. Not considering this one, even though it's a lower high, but strong uptrend. Good thing we skipped it. Doji bar, we're skipping this one as well. As you can see, it's a two-legged pullback plus a doji bar. I might consider this, but also I would like it to be closer to the 20 EMA, so I would skip this one as well. But as you can see, it's a second entry and also a failed second entry short with the magenta box. How is this a failed second entry short? Well, because you also have this two-legged pullback, A, B, C, and this A leg here fails to make a scalper's profit, which is 5 ticks. And so 5 ticks, 1 tick for the stop entry, and 4 ticks for the point. And good thing we skipped it because it doesn't make a point, and instead we're gonna see if we get a trap now. I might be interested in going long if we're in a good spot here. And again, another doji, but it doesn't matter because it doesn't reverse it. Okay, boom, crushes us. So if you were here, if you went long here, see, this is why I skipped dojis, because though it works most of the time, it doesn't work enough times for it to be really profitable, and that comes with months and months of backtesting doji bars. That's why I skipped doji bars. Strong uptrend, but a doji bar here, we failed. It's a good thing we skipped it, even though it's worked so many times. But you know, it worked here, you know, but you know, here it doesn't work, and so that's enough for me to just never go into dojis. And we do have a strong signal bar here. First breakdown, you're thinking possibly you would think to go long here, but I probably would like a higher low second entry, so we'll skip this. Even though it looks so nice, and most likely will make a point. You know, we're in a strong uptrend, and yeah, we'll see. Right, strong bear bar, but no follow through, and yeah, you're thinking continuation of original trend. Good thing we checked this. Excuse me, by the way, a little burp right there. But you can see this trading range here. It acted as a trading range. It was consolidation, and trading range just confuses things. And so this is the trading range we had, and so most likely false breakdown. But I would like a two-legged pullback on its own beyond this. You know, you would want a two-legged pullback on its own to consider this trade. Either this variation or this variation, you know, whichever one, but you want a two-legged pullback. And is it enough to give you a point? Yep, you scalp out already, but you want the higher low, which is what we get here. And oh boy, that's a hard trade to consider because you have this like small wedge right here. But I would potentially consider this trade because of how strong the uptrend is right now. But you do have this wedge here and outside bar, and it will be a breakout. Enough from the top of this trading range. I would really consider this trade actually. I would really consider this, but you do have some things going against you. I don't know. I don't like trading outside bars, but this is a pretty strong bull bar. Let's go for it. I like this trade. And sorry, I got a little closer. Yep, enough to scalp out. And as you can see, this little mini wedge acted as the resistance there, and so that was scary. But that was enough for him to scalp out, unfortunately. And now double top, and we keep going up, and then absolute. Yep, you know, you're at the scalp out. I'm not interested here. Thinking only interested if we have ample evidence that this uptrend is reversing, which you break down, two-legged pullback back up, and then you want to possibly maybe a lower high. You might consider going there. And we do not get a lower high, sorry, I didn't mark this. Plus it was a doji. It does give you enough room for a scalp though. And this one also gives you enough room for a scalp, but also not interested in that one. Terrible signal bar, plus it was not a lower high. And now this trading range still is in play. And I made it based off here, and now you can see that there's still consolidation here with this trading range. False breakdown, false breakout, false breakdown, false breakout. And so we're just going in and out of this trading range at the moment. And now we reset. We're just waiting for our next second entry, finally breaking out. By the time it looks like this with these strong bull bars, you're thinking, okay, this trading range is no longer valid, but we'll keep it here anyways. It's not even 11 o'clock, and this is already becoming a very long video. This is why the bar by bar is so draining, but so good, I think, in terms of just reviewing the charts. And even for me, I didn't get really a chance to trade this day. There was one trade that I did at the end of the day where I finally had some time to look at the chart, and I'll be frank with you when we get there, and I'll show you, I'll let you know how I traded it. So still going bar by bar here. Sorry, I should have marked this, but again, not interested. Strong bull bar, strong bull trend. Why are you interested in? You're not trying to go short here. Okay, so it does go down. Good thing you didn't go short. Breaks up, does trap a little bit. You have a lower high here, but you're not interested. You're actually more interested in this trade, the two-legged pullback like this, and you know you want to trade with trend, and so that's why you're interested in this two-legged pullback to the 20 EMA. And so I'll move it here, but basically you want the two-legged pullback to look like something like this. And as I move it along, I'll show you. So I'm not interested in this short here, even though it's a very good signal bar, but I'm more interested in the setup that might be due to after that. And so what you have here is this. You have a two-legged pullback, and now, unfortunately, it's a doji. Again, I hate dojis. Not close enough to the 20 EMA. So unfortunately, we have to skip this, even if it makes a point. Don't know yet, but yeah, that's that's what you're kind of thinking. This will make a point just because this uptrend is so strong, and traders will be trapped out right there. So it was a second entry long with failed second entry short, as you can see with the magenta box, dark green number. Easy to tell with the indicator. So yep, indicator makes things very easy to trade price action. Of course, I'll keep harping on that. I'm not biased. I'm not unbiased when it comes to that. Lower high here, not interested. I'm just trying to go long here. I'm not looking for any shorts right now. And doesn't make a point yet. And sorry, terrible signal bar. Not interested in this long, which was closer to 20 MA. So, and it's a strong bull bar. You might consider. Okay, so if I saw this, I might consider. Man, that though it's a terrible signal bar here. This entry bar, though it hasn't made a point yet, it ended very bullish, and I know we're in a strong uptrend. I might consider a retracement after this bar. If it finishes and looks like that, I'm like, okay, that might be enough for me to go long on the entry bar, because you see the entry bar has not yet made a scalp, and so you're thinking maybe if it comes back down, I'll get filled here, and I'll consider going long there with a retracement. So actually, I might possibly enter into this entry bar. You know, if I was trading it live, that's how I would consider it. So if I saw a strong bull bar like that on the entry bar, but yet has not made a point, I would consider coming with a retracement where this line is. You know, basically back to the high, and I'll probably go in a retracement back to the actual high, not one tick above, because yeah, just to give myself a little more discount here. And I would be in this trade. Let's see if I come out. Let's see if I'll make a scalp here with a retracement. It's currently at 4 ticks, and you would have been a scalp out. And so if you got in the retracement right there, you would have made a point there as well on the entry bar. And as you can see, it doesn't make actual point until right here, and so some traders might have actually done that. Okay, and also you have to consider this. Whoops. Possible trading range here as well. It looks something like this for now. And I would actually put this in there as well, the bottom of these bodies. So that's how I would trade that. Just keep going. It's a strong uptrend. You would need to make another trend line here based off here. And now we're on a strong uptrend. Okay, of course not interested in going to this good signal bar, but super counter trend here. And guess what? Traps you out. Do not want to go in there. Though it's a second entry. Again, do not want to go, even though you're getting pretty close to, one of these trend lines. Still not interested. At least you want a lower high if you're going to be interested at all. It does give you a scalp here, and lower high, but right into the trend line. So not interested. Plus terrible signal bar. Easy to make decisions here. Does give you a point though, and so you might be kicking yourself. And so now we are at the 20 EMA. Terrible signal bar, but we do know we get a second entry here. The second entry looks like this. A, B, C. Currently double bottom. Terrible signal bar right off the 20 EMA, and but we also broke down this trend line. So context is a bit confusing. It's actually pretty good to go long here, actually, in my opinion, but the signal bar is just too bad. And so if I was seeing this live, I'd be like, dang it, I feel like if it does go above here, most likely we'll make at least a point, but I'll have to skip it because the rules are the rules. And so we skip this. And has not made a scalp yet. Finally makes a scalp right there. And again, if I saw a strong entry bar like this and hasn't made a scalp yet, I might consider going in with a retracement. So you could possibly enter in this entry bar. And that's just like if you're live trading, that's how it would look like. So we keep going. And what do I mean by that? Here, let me zoom in for you guys. What do I mean by entering into the entry bar? So for instance, you didn't want to enter here because this signal bar was so terrible. But it reverses, and actually, but you see the context, you're like, this context is so good. If you see the trigger bar or the entry bar look this bullish off good context, you might consider entering with a retracement back to the high of this signal bar. And so you can see that you would have been filled there. I actually don't know the construction of this candle, so it could possibly have given your scalp first, then reverse. But let's say it reversed first before making the scalp, you would have been able to enter right here, and then reverse it back up, and then it'll give you a point. So as you can see, you would only consider that because this is a good signal or good bull bar, very strong bull bar, and it has not yet made a point. And so you can consider maybe coming with a retracement because the context is so good. But we did break below this trend line, and also, but we're still above the 20 EMA, so it's not a strong break yet. Keep going till we see our next second entry here, and it's not even 12 o'clock, and we are just, wow, it's just a lot of price action going on, a lot of price action. Okay, we keep going till we see our next second entry, and here it is, skipping it. The uptrend is way too strong right now. Does give you a point though. Oh, actually I spoke too soon. It misses it by 1 tick. Not interested in trap. I might be interested in trap, but it's kind of hard. Traps are tricky because it's just far away from the 20 EMA, so most likely we'll skip this trap. So keep going, and you would have been trapped out by now. Sorry, this is also skip terrible signal bar up counter trend. And as you can see, you are trapped out again. Here is another reversal with a pretty good signal bar with a perfect scalp on the other side. Sorry, just oh man. Okay. Keep burping. It's kind of embarrassing. Let's see here. I would also skip this counter trend. It's an H4 failure though. Ooh. But H4 failures are good, not with counter trend. Sorry, this chart is getting a little too far away. The 204 SMA is way too far. It's making this chart way too small. Strong uptrend, H4 failure, good signal bar with a you have to consider trading range 1, 2, 3 dojis. You consider that this is a trading range here, and you can include this here at this point because you have more overlapping bars here. Otherwise, your trading range will literally be this. It will be like 0 ticks because this is all you have. But we'll include this, just common sense in my opinion. Enough room to the bottom of this trading range. Enough room to the 20 EMA. I would actually consider this and keep a 4-point stop. Let's see if we make a point here. I would consider this because of the current setup, but it's a risky trade. But I would you know what? Maybe I'll do the higher low here, even though it's near impossible for that setup to happen. We'll skip this trade. But I would probably consider this trade, but we'll see. Okay. Sorry, I can't see it. Okay, it does break below and triggers it. And if it creates a higher low or lower high here, then I might be very interested. And unfortunately, it just traps you out. Good thing you didn't go into there. And good thing you didn't go into there. That's why you wait for the lower high. H5. Yeah, it's just way too zoomed out. Let's keep going. Not interested here, but most likely will give you a point. And doesn't give you a point yet, and does give you a point now. And would you go short here? No. You have the, well, you could possibly think you might be testing the bottom of here, but 20 EMA is just too strong. No close is under the 20 EMA, and I'm not going to bank on the first close to give me a, even though this is an amazing signal bar. In fact, you know, you actually might have already entered here if you consider to break up here and then enter below here. So I'm just not interested. We'll keep going. And pretty good setup, ABC, but doji. And it actually is a little bearish. And below the 20 EMA. But you see where it stopped? It's not by coincidence. We are potentially testing the top of this trading range now. Keep going. Boom. Gives you a point. Easy point. But we skipped it because we want that 90% trade. And there are enough things in here, in my mind, in my opinion, to not take that trade. Keep going. Okay, so now look where we are. We're at our next one. Next second entry. We skip this one. We want the higher low. We want the higher low plus that's a doji. We want the higher low. Boom. Goes up. Did we get the higher low? Did we get higher low set up? No, we don't even get a higher low set up. This market is just stingy. We don't get our setup. Keep going till we see our next one. Okay, wow. We don't see another one to here. Of course, we're skipping this. Way too strong. Gives you a point anyways. Skipping this, it's not even a lower high. Gives you a point anyways. So now you're wondering, why are all of these giving me points on a strong uptrend? You're thinking at least trading range. You're thinking at least this is going to start looking like a trading range. Because trends turn into trading ranges most of the time. And so now you have a second entry short with a lower high. But not enough room to the bottom of this trading range. You need to skip it. If you're able to come with a retracement, consider it. That's a terrible signal bar. So we're skipping this trade. Does this give you a point? Currently has not given you a point. And still has not given you a point. And now it's reversing on you. So this is why you need to have enough room. Otherwise, you can be trapped out like this. And now you're considering, should I enter this two-legged pullback? Not close enough to the 20 EMA in my opinion. but you do barely have enough room to the top of this trading range, but I'll skip it. And good thing you skip it, because it starts to do some wackiness here. And yeah, it's because you're in trading range. Trading range is kind of like this weird limbo. So weird things happen here in trading ranges. Al Brooks mentions that in his trading course, that when you start to see things that are unexpected, strong uptrend, but all of a sudden you see scalp bears making points on their scalps, and you see terrible signal bars making points, and things like that. You're thinking, man, maybe I gotta change my mindset. Might be in a trading range. And so, yep, double top. Okay, so again, you cannot trade. There's not enough room to the bottom of trading range, even though this is a, sorry, I should mark this. Skipping all these. And as you can see, we're oscillating in this trading range, created from here to here, and I already knew we were in a trading range, starting from basically this bar. So I was already creating this trading range before all this has happened. And boom, pretty strong bear bar, but still doesn't say much in a trading range. You're thinking, okay, it can be a false breakdown. That's what we're looking for. Our next, potential setup could look something like this. You want a higher low, second entry somewhere over here, and we don't get it. In fact, we get a second entry long right here. Enough room to here, but in my opinion, strong bear bar, higher low. You need a higher low. You still need a higher low, and we don't get a higher low. In fact, we come to retest the top of the trading range, and we're breaking beneath it again. Keep going until we see another second entry. We have a second entry here. We want a higher low second entry. Technically, right now this is just a regular second entry, but we want, it looks like this. As you can see, if I put it like this, this is a second entry, classical second entry. We want the higher low second entry. We want one to look like this. So we're looking for the second higher low second entry. Also, the indicator will essentially be a dark green 2, and it's as simple as that. So we look for a dark green 2, we get it, and we get a dark green 2. We are definitely interested in this. We are super interested in this trade with a good signal bar, and we're thinking we're going to test the top of this trading range again. And so you can see here we have this second variation with a higher low, good signal bar, thinking failed breakdown, and we're going to retest the top of this trading range. Decent signal bar. And so let's see if we can make a point here. Boom, we make a point off the first bar right after it, and we're just trying to scalp out there. Whoops, I would not be interested in this, even though I already saw it. But you're thinking, well, we'll extend this trading range. We can see that basically it's acting as resistance. Really, I wouldn't consider this unless maybe a lower high, because I'm thinking we're going to test the top here, but we'll see. It does give you a nice scalp here. And let's keep going. Okay, we do have a lower high here. Terrible signal bar though. Lower high. Do we have enough here? Thinking we're going to reverse. At this point, I could possibly think we are looking for a reversal of some sort. The signal bar is not good enough for me, in my opinion. I would have to skip this trade because of the strong uptrend, and it is a lower high, but yeah, that's hard for me. I would consider it, but when it comes back down here, you're like, okay, these are basically 3 overlapping bars, so you're just thinking maybe trading range is a little confusing. So I'll skip this trade. And okay, so it does give you a point. The lower high does give you a point, and it was good enough. But it comes down, it kind of gives you a scare, and you just don't know. But ends up giving you a point anyways. But not sad. But now you're thinking possible reversal here. Let's see how strong this is. We're thinking maybe reversal here, and we might want to look for a short trade at some point. Sorry, skipping it, doji. You're thinking short trade, so you're thinking now something like this. You want this off the 20 EMA, you want that somewhere there. So let's see if we get that set up. Potentially we could get this set up right now. Okay, we do. We get a two-legged pullback. But we're seeing we are very choppy here, and it's a doji signal bar. It hurts, but I would have to skip this, unfortunately, because of just the immediate things here. Choppiness plus terrible signal bar, even though it most likely will give you a point. Sorry, that was long. That was long. That was a second entry long. All right. Anyways, we'll skip that anyways, because I'm thinking downtrend. But now if you see a strong bull bar like that, definitely not entering there. Very hard to trade against that. And yep, reverses here. And boom. Could potentially trap you out. You have not been stopped out yet. And you most likely be stopped out here if you're back in. And now, yep. We keep extending this because it's kind of going back into the area here. Not interested there. Terrible signal bar, uptrend. Potential reversal here. Yeah, I at this point I'm just very confused. I don't know what's happening, and it's near the end of the trading day. Don't know what's happening here. We'll keep going until we see. Okay, so we're thinking retest up top of this trading range. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't know what I would be looking for at this point. It's just kind of confusing. I'm thinking. I thought it was gonna be a downtrend, so I was looking for a possible, lower high setup somewhere. But yeah, this terrible signal bar protected me from entering here, which ended up trapping a lot of traders out. Comes to the top of this trading range, as you can see, it hits its head right there, and pops up above it, and slight consolidation, people taking profits. And here's our next second entry. Do we want to enter short here? Man, hard to say. Failed breakdown, decent uptrend, very good signal bar. Enough room to the bottom. You want a lower high here. Sorry, you want a lower high. Too hard to tell. Just too hard to tell, in my opinion. And we'll keep going till we see our next second entry. Okay, so we have a second entry here, and this is actually a lower high, and it's grinding up. And I actually took this trade. I took this trade even though it was a doji, but I took it because of the lower high setup. Lower high, and thinking failed breakout of this trading range that we have here. And the way I traded this was I traded this as a swing. And as you can see here, to do a swing trade, you want 2 times your risk. And so this is a tool that you get with NinjaTrader, and you can find it in the hotkeys. If you right click, go to drawing tools, you can also see it. It's called the risk reward tool. And so the risk reward tool gives you 2x, or you can set up to whatever you want, but my risk reward is set up to 2x. So I put my risk here. Basically, if I were to enter here and then exit 1 tick above this signal bar, this would be my risk, and this would be 2x. So I would put my stop or my profit target right here. And so I entered this. Obviously, I would think this is good here. Higher or lower high, trading range, failed breakout, and I'm thinking we're going to make 2x our profit here. And yeah, so obviously I think it's a good trade. Two-legged pullback, as you can see here. A, B, C, and then A. Two-legged pullback. And as you can see, keep going. And my profit target's right here. And boom, it hits it perfectly. Hits it again perfectly. and actually was able to get out after the second hit, and then hits it perfectly again, and guess what, reverses right there. Why? Because a lot of people took this trade, a lot of people took this 2x, institutions saw this as a 2x swing, and they took this trade as well. And so this is why you see right at this 2x mark, 1 2 3 4 hits, and people reversing their positions here. All right, so let's go over how many trades. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 11 scalps, $250 each. That's over $2,000 today, and that's even skipping all of these trades right here. You know, even though there are some pretty good setups, but we had to skip it because, you know, one or two things are just off. And so even though we had to skip all these, you know, potentially good trades, we were still able to make over 2K just following the rules. And so and potentially more if you had runners. And so at least, you know, around 250, or yeah, over $2,500 essentially. You have 11 scalps. And yeah, all the ones that are marked green or were successful, at least for a scalp. And yeah, and some of the ones in red, you know, you could take some of those potentially dangerous ones, but yeah, hopefully that's been helpful for you guys. And yeah, and so that's it for the chart review, and I hope that's been helpful. I know it's very long, but if you're here and you stuck around to the very end, you know, helps me a lot if you give me a hit the like button and subscribe. These things take obviously hours to produce, not only going through the chart, but also to do some editing for you guys to make these videos more enjoyable to watch. And so yeah, I think you know, these bar by bar reviews are, you know, not only good for anyone watching, but you know, it's helpful for me. And so I like doing it, though it's a lot of talking, a lot of analysis, and your brain kind of goes in overdrive for every bar. But hopefully the bar by bar is helpful because it kind of gives you a little bit of what you're thinking live. You know, everything I'm doing, all the analysis I'm doing is happening before I see the trade. And so I don't know what's going to happen. You know, I don't memorize the charts. I had one setup here that I did remember, and I showed you how I traded it, and I was able to get a swing here. And so yeah, hopefully this has been helpful, and if it's been helpful, yeah, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And as always, happy trading and God bless.